Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel here. Today in the new studio. Got a bunch of cables there. Off camera, I built this, so this is going to be my new little rack mount. It's going to go somewhere in here. And I got it all painted white and everything. It's been kind of a interesting week. I ended up getting the you-know-what, so I had to isolate for a few days. Haven't really had time to do a whole lot of things. Actually, whilst I was just trying to get symptoms, I was building this, and then next day did a test, and so yeah, haven't done too much. Also, the day after I did the last video there, I ended up putting in some more lights. I don't know if you can see it, but now there's the black line on top of there. Because as I discussed, I kind of wanted to do something a little different on top of the baseboards there. So by the power of Bluetooth, this is what I got going now. So you can see it kind of does this nice little pattern that just kind of builds up, and what it will do is it will run there to there, and then it will start taking it away from the far side there, and so it'll start disappearing. And yeah, pretty much exactly what I was looking for. I really like this look. I think it looks quite good. In the dark, it's got nice contrast of colors and everything. Get those creative juices flowing, so to say. So yeah, next up on the list, plan is, so this is just like my storage case. And my plan is I'm going to put it on the bottom here, and then basically just going to fill the rest of this with rack mount stuff. So what I'm going to do is get my rack bars cut, get them all mounted, get that in position, and go from there. Okay, so after a few minutes of cursing and swearing, got the rack in. So I'm thinking maybe it's about time to start, getting all the gear up here and start laying it out everywhere, and then start doing some cabling and stuff. So I'm using the Behringer X32 producer as my mixer. It's got 16 ins and 16 outs, 6 aux sends returns, and 16 inputs, 8 outputs. Yes. So what I've got going on is I'm going to use all 16 inputs to route all my analog stuff straight in. But firstly, it's going to go through patch base. So I've got 2 Samson S patches, and then I've got a Behringer Ultra DI. This is to take the unbalanced signal and take it out balanced, just so I can go all balanced in to the patch bay. It's not super necessary, but this is what I like to do. So I've already got these 2 run. I just wanted to see if I could get enough length to get to my keyboard stand here. So continuing on, obviously Behringer X32. I've got the Art Pro VLA2 compressor. This has been modded, so it sounds a lot better. And then I've got the Ninja Tune Zen delay. Very good little tube delay. Big fan of that one, actually. And then next up, I've got power conditioner. This is just an Arts PS 4x4 Pro power conditioner. I use it just to turn everything on and off, and it's good to have everything on one circuit, so to say. And then got the Motu MIDI Express 128. This is to run 8 channels of MIDI in and out of the DAW, which is quite handy. Next to my little rack mount stuff, got the Elysia Expressor. And then we get to all the fun analog stuff. So I used the Electron Octatrack as my sampler. And then I used the Access Virus TI2 for a lot of synths, and great little synth workhorse of everything. It's got 6 outputs, couple inputs. It's very good for sound design, I find. And then what I'm going to end up doing is, so I've got the Waldorf Blofeld here. I'm I'm gonna end up building a little stand so it'll sit at a nice angle right there, so to say. Probably gonna do that before I get to wiring everything. And then I get to my little semi-modular stuff. This is my recent purchases. Yeah, just getting into it. I kind of want to get into modular one day, just for the sound design aspect of things. So yeah, running the Arturia BeatStep Pro. I think this is the Pro if I remember. To run all my CV and everything. And then Behringer Neutron, and then Moog DFAM. Excellent piece of gear this. There's been, I saw the recent video of the bad gear review. Can't remember his name. Let me know in the comments if you know the name of the guy who does the bad gear review. He had some very good points on the DFAM. And then get to my keyboards, rocking the Prophet 08. And then this I don't use very often, but I've got it and it's a thing. So this is the Yamaha Reface DX. Kind of more of a digital sounding synth. It's not really my go-to for a lot of things, but every now and then I'll just noodle around on it to come up with like bass stuff, so to say. I find it's okay on the bass. It's nice tight bass response, which is nice for a bass synth. Yeah, so what I like to do is, like I said, get everything laid out how I kind of want it, so it's nice and ergonomic. I'm going to build a little thing for my MIDI keys that's going to go underneath here at some point. But for now, just laying everything out. Also going to build a little stand for this so it kind of comes up and will be sitting at a funner angle. So it's more ergonomic, so to say. Yeah, get to some wiring. I'm going to get this camera on a tripod and I'll show you how I wire everything up here. So for starters, what I like to always do in order is kind of have an idea of what channels I want everything on the mixer. So what I'm going for is this is going to be channels 1, 2. This is going to be channels 3 through 8. So in a sense, that's one row on the mixer. And then I'm going to get we'll probably do this 9, 10, this 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's going to be the layout. So yeah, what I like to do is always run power first, because in a sense, once your power is hooked up, you can then test if the thing works. I don't know, just from working as a stagehand for a while, I always go power first, and then I start plugging in all my ins and outs based on signal. And then for all my ins and outs, I'm going to run it under the table behind here, kind of following this. And then I've got some hooks to hold the cables up, just so it kind of hides the cables a lot better. And then based on that, I'm going to go directly into the first 16 channels of the patch bay here. So the top point's there. And then what I'm going to do is for my audio snake, I'm going to come out the back on those same 16 channels. This way, say I ever need to plug something else in, it's just a straight patch right into there. Yeah, and then obviously got to wire that up, got to wire all my ins and outs for my signal processing stuff there. That's going to be on different channels on the patch bay. I'm going to have a lot of extra channels right now. That will hopefully change in the future. And then I got to plug in the auxes out of the mixer into the patch bay, and then vice versa back into the mixer. That's 6 channels there. So yeah, I'm going to get all my powers. They're kind of, all my cables are all over the place here, but I'll figure out where I put my AC adapters. I'm pretty sure they're all in here. Yeah, a bunch of stuff in here. Got to go through, and then obviously I got to do all my USB stuff. I'm just using this cheapo IO gear USB hub. I got another small one that I'll probably end up needing. Yeah, there's just lots of things to plug in at the moment. So yeah, let me get organized here and then start plugging things in. Okay, excuse me. So getting started with power here. So I'm at the back side of my desk here, so you can see MIDI interface and then the power conditioner. So what I got going on right now is left speaker, right speaker, subwoofer, mixer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in this power bar here. And that's going to kind of slide back behind here. It's kind of now resting behind the mixer there. So I got lots of power there now. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side for all the synths. And then I've got this kind of bigger yellow one or whatever. That's going to go along that side there because I'm going to need a lot more power on that end. Because you get the funky adapters with all the synths and stuff that are the right angle ones and all that other stuff that they should just make them simple IEC cables. But that's above my pay grade apparently. So I'm going to plug most of the synths into right here and then leave this one kind of open for rack mount stuff. And then the voice transformer up there. Now, one thing I also want to mention with any of your cables, so what I'm doing for my power adapters here is making sure I black tape them. So I'll get a nice sort of length that I need, something like that. And then I'll just use my E-tape, tape it up like that, and then always leave a little courtesy tab. So it's easy to pull off so you're not picking away at it and getting stuff all on your fingernails and everything. Keep your cables neat. It saves you a lot of trouble. So like right here, for example, I've got this little bit of a cable here. Boom, just hide it nicely. You can barely see it, and got all the power there and everything. So yeah, keep your cables neat. So when you are wiring something up, just grab a roll of E-tape. Super simple. Roll it around twice. Snap it off, put a little courtesy tab, which is just folding the tape over on itself, and then you're good to go. Keeps it nice and neat, I tell you. So something a little interesting happened. So when I left my old studio, I labeled this the DFAM, right? So I had it plugged into the DFAM, and the lights were all acting all funny and everything. And I'm looking like, this is all the power adapters I have. Like, this is the only one that could work. And then I go touch it. This thing was burning hot. And I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's 9 volt out, 500 milliamps. So that's technically for a guitar pedal. So I think this is a good lesson to be learned for all of you, that when you plug everything in, just make sure you're touching all your power adapters. If you're smart, like I should have been, I should have checked to see that the power output is right. I know that everything is 12 volts. I was just almost 100% sure I was using that one, but maybe I was in a rush packing everything up and I just labeled that one DFAM. Because when I looked in the neutron box that still has to be plugged in, lo and behold, a big old power adapter right there, 12 volt out. So yeah, just when you're plugging power in, just make sure you're safe. Check to see if things are hot or not. Okay, so now that we're not causing any fires, just turn everything on. So make sure everything plays right. Take a good look at obviously the brightness of the LEDs. If you're very aware of your gear, you know what the brightness of the LEDs is. So just, play around with it, hit buttons, make sure everything seems like it's working. Like here, the LEDs are looking mighty nice. Shape buttons are working fine. Here, when I hit run stop, it runs properly. Before, it was just, didn't know what to do because it wasn't getting enough voltage. Just hit pause play on things, make sure everything works. This one's pretty easy because, I don't know, not really much you can do on that. Presets, just scroll through presets on the Blofeld. Yeah, it seems to be working fine. And I got this ugly little blow sticker. It says blow on it for Blofeld. Probably get rid of that. But yeah, everything is working. My power adapters are not hot. Everything seems about the right temperature. Now this is where I'll go and just kind of hide these cables as best as I can, so it looks pretty, or pretty-ish, as pretty as it can be. Okay, so next up what I like to do is run all my USB. So I've got 1, 2, 3, possibly 4, possibly 5. Okay, so got all my USB plugged in. And as you can see, you can barely see any cables, just this one white cable, because unfortunately they use the not serial connection, so to say. I think that might be called a serial connection. It's one of those teeny tiny little ones. And I ended up putting the USB hub just right there. You can barely see it. But as you can see, like all the wires are kind of all very hidden away when you're looking at this. So, you know, it looks quite neat. Not like jalapeno cables everywhere. Okay, so I thought since I'm back here, I'll just show you how many freaking cables there are. So obviously there's a big sort of rat's nest in there. That's okay. What we're trying to do is just, you know, make sure all these cables here are nice and neat. So as you can see, the USB hub is kind of wedged in using the top USB there. All are connected. This is a powered hub, so that's good. And then I've got another hub right there. Kind of hard to see with the blue light. That's just going to be in case I need to use a USB stick or something quick. I'll just do that. And then obviously all the cables going that way. I'll gotta tidy up a couple of these low-hanging ones. Like this one, the mixer cable. Gotta fix that. And then this I'll probably have just... Where's that even going? Oh, that's going to the other speaker. So yeah, I'll kind of tidy that up a little bit somehow. So yeah, now it's getting those brackets in. All right, so got it in. So I got a bracket there, bracket there, bracket there, bracket there, bracket there. So you can see the cable just kind of follows. That corner is a little iffy for some reason. I should probably point at it, that corner right there. I'll probably end up just e-taping it so it kind of stays up, if that makes sense. But yeah, no more cables on the floor there. One more quick thing before lunch. Always just check your load. So I've got everything turned on. Obviously the speakers aren't playing. So I'm pulling about 1.1 amp max. And then once the speakers are turned up, I'll probably get that to like 1.7. Don't want to go too much higher than that, even though it's not a lot of power, so to say. 10 amps is maximum for a full pull. All right, got some lunch in my belly, no more hangry. So let's get to some wiring. So I'm going to start wires from the back here, follow it this way, and then come into through the hole up through there, straight into there. And I'm probably going to leave most of the slack on this end, I think, just so it kind of keeps it tidy on this end. Plus we got kind of a cable rat's nest behind there. Now another thing I just realized, so I've got my Sweetwater cables, brand new. These are the Proco X lines, but they come with these nice little Velcro pieces. So I'm gonna make sure I hang on to all of these. And then on the back side there, I'm just gonna use these to kind of like tie the cables all together and everything. One more thing. When you unwrap a new cable and you're going to go plug it in somewhere, grab some masking tape, wrap it around, and do both ends and label exactly what it is. Because if you're ever having to troubleshoot real quick or something, if you have everything labeled and you're unplugging things like a madman, when you go to plug things in, you'll know exactly where it goes. So yeah, just make sure you label your cables. I'm using blue masking tape because that's what I got. But yeah, just make sure you label everything. So for like example, this is my Octatrack left. I'm just going to go 01 and then label 01 on the other side. And then on the 1 is always lefts and then 2 is always rights. Usually rights are an even number based on plugging into mixers and stuff. So that's kind of the system I go with. So yeah, label your cables. Okay, so then coming up the patch bay, you can barely see. So I got... technically that is 10 plugged in, so that is Octatrack, the Virus, and the Blofeld all plugged in there. And then I need to do XLR to balanced for the other inputs coming out the top of the back of this. And then as you can see, I've got my cable all nice the whole way here, so it just drops down there. That's for the sub, and then that's a USB cable for my USB controller, so to say. And then those cables continue that way, those two go that way, and then comes up to there. looking all nice and pretty. That's kind of ugly coming out like that, but I'll just live with it, I guess. And then I've got this plugged into input 1, and then output 1 is going into my talk back into the back of the mixer there. So then next up, got to plug in compressor, the tube delay, got to plug in that compressor, and then got to wire all my pedals. I still got them all in my boxes and stuff, and then I'll just put them there. Been going around cleaning up cables as well, and since I'm going to the back end next, I'll bring these and tidy up all this stuff back there, get it looking all pretty and nice and, all that groovy, good looking things. All right, so I'm getting close to the 8-hour mark of this this wiring endeavor, and I got all the MIDI in, and I've cleaned up the back. But first, just want to do a little pan around from the front. So you can see that's the laptop power cable. I'm going to sort that one out. But in theory, the only cable you really see hanging down is that's the subwoofer feed for power in the XLR, and then obviously the USB for the keyboard that's there. These have to be just put away. So there's no cables there. Back of here looks okay-ish. You're not going to believe this, but this cable is so tight. It just made it. Literally just made it. I had to change the port it came out of just to give it that little bit of extra more. So we got full MIDI in and out to here. So I can record in. I don't know if you can see, but the MIDI in is working. And then I can do the same here. I can play the keys. It'll go to Ableton and whatnot. And then I got MIDI into here, even though I'll probably use mostly CV to go into this and this. But if I ever do want to play MIDI into that's a possibility there. I can send MIDI to this and MIDI from it all through the USB cable. That's the one thing that I'll keep running as a USB cable for the MIDI in and out. And then we get to the Octatrack. So technically we go in terms of audio and MIDI and everything. This is device 1, device 2, device 3, device 4, device 5, device 6, device 7. It will kind of correlate on the mixer based on channels. It'll always be that way, and it's the same way for the MIDI. So what I'm doing is I'm going MIDI in and out of this. One thing I do need to do, I actually ran out of cables. 8 hours and I ran out of cables. Yeah, I need one more balance cable so I can go into the input A and B in this, and then I'll also need 2 more to go into the input A and B in this if I ever want to put audio through those, or if I ever want to record into this. That's something that I will need, and then I'll just patch it in there. But otherwise, MIDI in and out is ran into this, audio's done, and then just MIDI in is going into this. I don't take MIDI out of this because this is one device I use. It has a USB program. That's way easier just to noodle around on that. And then you can just send MIDI to the channels. I'll do a whole video on the whole routing of that. But I've got all 6 channels of audio outputs all wired in. And then the Blofeld only has MIDI in. So MIDI in and then left and right balanced. Everything's in the patch bay, like I said. So there's going to be 16 channels here that correlates to these as well. I'm just waiting for those cables. And then I started on channel 17, so I'm going 17 to 20, and that's both compressors. And then 1 and 2 is going to the Zen delay. Those are both set, these are all set to through, because this will be my insert channel, so to say. And then I just need the cables to go my aux ins and outs that I'll plug into the aux ins and outs on the mixer, and then I can patch those in and out. Still have to do the little guitar pedal section, and our sketchy power adapter. I've had it plugged in for maybe about 5 minutes. Light looks like it's the right brightness and everything, so I'm guessing that's the right AC adapter for that. Still need to do the microphone, but that's can be a down the road thing. And as you can see, cables back here are looking decent, not super messy, and it's kind of hidden by the rack and everything. So this turned out pretty thick. As you can see, cable runs along there. Like I said, that's the only cable coming down. And then, crawling around. A little bit of a dark lighting in there, but all the MIDIs and outs are plugged in, correlated to where they need to go. As the DFAM does not have a MIDI in, what I did is my number 5 device is technically going to there just because it's a standalone thing. And I tried to keep the cables as clean as possible so you could barely see them. It's a rat's nest right in there. But otherwise, everything is good. So I'm just now waiting for, obviously, the audio snake. Sorry, I'm just kind of fiddling, make sure that that's all good and dandy, which I believe it is. Yeah, no one will be able to see that, or you can't see it from the front. So yeah, if you're looking to get into all this analog stuff through a DAW program way like I do it, just realize it takes about a whole day to wire it up. Unless you only have like a few devices, so to say. If you got something like this and you're trying to keep the cables as ultimately clean as possible, or you can't see them from the front side, then allot yourself a day to plug everything in and test everything. Yeah, this is a lot of work. I'm pretty tired. So I'm going to call this video a video. Hope it was informative. If you have any questions on the routing of like patch bay or absolutely anything when it comes to this, feel free to drop a comment down in the comments down below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And also, please subscribe to my channel, as every one of you subscribers just brings me so much joy. And the next video is going to be just a general wrap up. Hope you've enjoyed this little studio building journey. I hope it's been informative for yourself. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.